December, we are going to less. Fast forward, the eve of current election, and last week in Parliament, late in Burke 2026, they would want us to believe that the total amount borrowed is now 4.83 billion. How does that happen? In March we were told it was 8.4. In December we were told it was 7.4. And now, because an election is around, it is all of a sudden only 4.8 billion borrowed. And that is in the Burke document. How do you get that done? 3 different figures for the same thing, and of course, the most recent figure is the smallest one, because you want to make the situation seem not as bad as it actually is. No, the truth is, I can empathize just a little with Minister Strong, because it is hard to keep up with the loans that his boss brings back and forces him to sign quite often. Boss, by the way, that remembers September 14th last year, she confessed to being a little confused at times. She said, sometimes when I listen to the calling program, I want to ask myself, what that train? So I get the confusion. But our learned economists would have us to believe these 3 different figures can't work. Just last year alone, we borrowed at least $2.5 billion that I was able to source information from, including some that were quite hard to find because they do not share this information that easily. They will tell you it's out there, and I had to search quite a bit to find this $2.5 billion. In February, we borrowed $150 million from the Latin American Bank. By April, $60 million from the World Bank. In June, $1,000 million on the international capital markets. $160 million from the IMF in June again. $185 million from the Saudis. Another $100 million from the IDB in July. $100 million from the IDB in July. $390 million. Near $400 million from the Chinese. $460,000 from the IDB in October. Another $100 million from the OPEC Fund for International Development. And in December again, another $400 million line of credit with $160 million accessed immediately. That is a total of $2.5 billion borrowed in your name, my name, that my unborn grandchildren have to pay back. Now, if we have something to show for it, if we could see infrastructure, if we could see proper health care, if the government working on behalf of the people, perhaps we will. But what does Barbados have today? Prominent infrastructure. In fact, they are now blaming the road conditions on climate change. What lunacy! I cannot believe that came from the mouth of a learned individual. Madness! So we have prominent road works. And I'm going to come to Kuwait, it's not far from here. Out of control crime, a cost that is among the highest in the world. That is what we have to show for all of this borrowing. The Barbados Labour Party government has the wrong priorities. The Democratic Labour Party stands here tonight with a promise and a commitment to put Barbados and Barbadians first. Now, the end of August last year, Carifesta was held. We still do not know how much Carifesta costs. But given what I just explained about those 3 different figures from the Ministry of Finance, I wouldn't advise you to believe any figure that the government gives us about Carifesta now. Now, I was able to find out a few things. There was a 13-minute drone show, like something in the sky, at the end of Carifesta. That drone show, done by Lunar Light Drone Technologies and associated with a local company, cost me somewhere between $80,000 to $200,000 for 13 minutes of pretty lights in the sky. At least 80, as much as 200,000, and possibly more for pretty lights in the sky. Barely a few days after that, our QEH was begging for money to buy blood gas machines. 2 specifically, 50,000 each, 100,000 in total. Now, blood gas machines to give the doctors critical information to help save you, save me, save your relatives, your mother, your father, your uncle. $100,000 not available for that purpose, but spent on 13 minutes of pretty lights in the sky. Now, it's not to say that you can't do pretty lights in the sky, but what is the priority? Looking pretty or taking care of the health of the population? Is a government that has the wrong priorities, and as is being said, clearly healthcare should be put first. But it gets worse. Yes, it gets worse. That same weekend that the hospital was begging for money to buy blood gas machines and inviting us to put a certain type of gas in our vehicle, and I'm sorry, I couldn't help them on that occasion because I don't use that gas. But that same weekend, our Prime Minister and entourage boarded a VistaJet Bombardier Global 7500 airline on a private jet trip to Algeria and Ethiopia. 8 hours to Algeria, and a further 6 hours to Ethiopia. 14 hours in total on a private jet. Can I give you the cost of that flight? The flight number, by the way, was VJT050T. Can I give you the cost of that trip? You sure you want to hear it? I don't want your blood pressure gap in your ear, no, because you're going to be vexed. All right. That trip cost a minimum of $22,000. Hold on. Up to $40,000 per hour. $22,000 to $40,000 per hour for 14 hours. Barbados, that's Barbados. So the minimum cost of that trip, just the outgoing trip, just the flight alone, was $310,000 and as much as $560,000. Just the outgoing cost of the trip. And by the way, she did not walk back. That doesn't include accommodations, it doesn't include ground transfers, and it doesn't include the per diems that every person on that trip got every day. This the same weekend that our hospital was begging for money to buy blood gas machines. Remember what she said when she got back? I didn't know the hospital needed them. I didn't know. I didn't know. Now, of course, that trip could have been a gift from a friend. Let's be fair. But if it was a gift from a friend, what's the quid pro quo? Because nobody gives you all of that for free. Either way, priorities wrong. Barbadians not being placed first for selfish, self-serving reasons. What was the benefit to Barbados? What was the benefit to your relatives, to you, to my patients who are struggling at QEH? While we are prioritizing pretty lights in the sky and private jet trips. Now, a caring government puts the health of its citizens first. November 2021, the Barbados Labour Party government took out a $120 million loan, $120 million from the European Investment Bank to build out Harrison Point facility. $120 million. According to the PM, many of those beds, by my counting, based on the numbers she gave, at least 80 of those beds were ICU or intensive care unit capable. $120 million. We had a 5-year moratorium on that loan, which just means that we didn't have to pay anything for the first 5 years. You know what it is this year? We are now in 2026. That loan was taken out in 2021 November. Barbadians, we will start paying back this year on that $120 million loan for a hospital we no longer have. How is that caring for your people? You know what's up at Harrison Point now? Construction equipment and workers from an overseas company under terms and conditions that the public, that we do not know about. We don't know what those terms are, and we do not know where the money is going. Now, this comes at a time when our hospital is struggling. I have here in my hand some interesting information. It's a memo from QEH that was circulated online, so it's no secret. But for those who may not have heard, let me read some of it for you. This is from a senior doctor at QEH to heads of surgical departments, surgical consultants, medical staff, executive team, theater manager. Dear colleagues, unfortunately, the operating theaters, and this is dated the 22nd of January. Today is the 25th, so 3 days ago. This is very current. Dear colleagues, unfortunately, the operating theaters within the main operating suite remain closed. So they're not closed, they remain closed. Persistent water condensation within the ceilings of theaters 2, 3, 4, and 5 continue to pose an ongoing safety risk. The air conditioning team, working in conjunction with the Department of Engineering, is undertaking urgent remedial works to address these long-standing and recurrent air conditioning failures. The problems didn't just begin. Long-standing and recurrent air conditioning failures. And my information has it that this problem has been covered up. They've been covering it up for at least the last 18 months. Forcing staff to work at times in those hot environments, unsafe for patients, performing surgeries at least 6 hours on occasion. That's the information that I have received. Long-standing and recurrent failures, and they would want us to believe that she cares. But I also have another interesting paper in my hand. It says tax relief for Bayview Hospital. Bayview Hospital is a privately run facility, medical facility. I have no innate problem with Bayview Hospital, and for those who can afford to go there. But June 11th, 2025, or June 10th, somewhere around there last year, it was revealed to us after they had completed refurbishing their 24-hour emergency care facility, and the PM cut the ribbon along with her friends. Prime Minister Mia Motley has emphasized that the tax concessions granted to Bayview Hospital for its new facility. You heard what I said? Tax concessions. Let me tell you what tax concessions are. That's your money. That's your money. That's your money. That's your money. Tax concessions granted to a privately run medical facility are contingent on ensuring public patients also benefit from the investment. This was 7 months ago. Are there any public patients here who benefited from services offered at Bayview Hospital under that arrangement? Are there any? Anyone? So while our QEH is struggling with a problem that they've been hiding for at least 18 months and confirm that they're long-standing in this memo, our Prime Minister was giving tax concessions to friends, taking from the poor and giving to the rich, under terms that are yet to be figured out. How will they help the public health patients? Not Robin Hood, robbing Red. Not Robin Hood, robbing Red. Our Prime Minister, outgoing, has not put Barbados first. She is trying to save the planet, while we Barbadians here are suffering and struggling. Only because she knew she was planning to call an election, she turned back QEH less than 48 hours before announcing. To all of a sudden, 2 failed ministers in all, making a grand total of $41,600 plus per month gross. 2 failed ministers of health. PM turned up to rescue the day with a promise that they're putting structures and systems in place for a photo op. It is utterly disrespectful to the people of Barbados to think that she can fool us. While QEH is struggling, Bayview is getting tax dollars. And then there's 5 acres of land given to a Frexim bank. Oh Lord, we're going there. We're going there. Now, the Department of Land Tax had that valued at 17 million at the time that took place. But we well know they can get more, could have gotten more than 17 million for that had it been put on the open market. 17 million M. A Frexim bank, people, has at least $70 billion in Barbados dollars in assets. So ask ourselves, why is our caring Prime Minister giving away land worth tens of millions to a bank that has at least $70 billion in assets? What have they done for Barbados? And to make matters worse, that bank now has diplomatic immunity and tax-exempt, tax-free status. They don't have to pay 1 blind cent in income tax. What have they done for Barbados? And the chairman was awarded the highest national honor. What have they done for Barbados? Or is it what they have done for someone? You don't have to imagine too much what happened. To make matters worse, very recently, less than a month ago, they went to Parliament to take $75+ million from our consolidated fund, to give not to local businesses, not to black-run businesses, but to give to foreign companies. A minimum of $225 million over the next 3 years. And they care? You're taking this from poor people, from Barbadians, to give to others. Companies that have significant financial presence, meaning they got money. And you're taking from us while we struggle, while QEH is on its knees. You know the problems with QEH that I mentioned? That is urgent cases being put back. That is elective cases, hernia, fibroid surgery. Those are things that aren't being done. That is delays in emergency treatment. That is issues in the accident and emergency, yes, with people on the floor. While our Prime Minister is jet-setting all over the world, racking up frequent flyer miles, trying to save the planet. This is our lot. Now, when you love people, you give them priority. You make them priority. Barbados, let us judge for ourselves. Those viewing online, let us judge for ourselves. From all that I have told you, has our Prime Minister, outgoing, given us priority? Our hospital is struggling and you're giving money to a private facility. Cost of living is killing people and you're giving money to overseas companies. Your junior minister can't even keep track of how much money you borrowed. You do not give the little that people have, the little that we have, to friends, family members. While she has been trying to save the planet, rampant crime, but that will be touched later and many opportunities during the campaign. Barbados, Barbadians, I say to us, the evidence is clear. At most, what you can look forward to from the Barbados Labour Party, if you are not a very close friend and supporter, of which I don't think we here are, the most you can look forward to is the occasional fat and free food. There are certain constituencies that they know they are in big trouble and already they're out in their numbers. And you're hearing of money being given out here and there. But the people of Barbados, we reject that behavior. We will not accept it. We will not accept the disrespect. We will not be accepting the giving away of our land and few resources, taking the little that we have to give to persons who don't need it. We could have easily gotten 20 million from Gemma's Lane land from a Frexim bank. Remember what he said? They have over 70 billion in assets. Why was it given to them? the Democratic Labour Party historically and the Democratic Labour Party presently is promising to look after the interests of Barbadians first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Because you matter. Other interests will have to come after. Other interests will have to come after. But you, I, my children, my unborn grandchildren deserve better. We deserve representation that prioritizes our interests before that of others. Throughout the campaign, I will have much more to share on these matters. Much more to share. But I encourage all, particularly in these last few hours before tomorrow evening's deadline, get registered. Check on friends, check on family members, ensure that they're registered, encourage persons to get out and vote. Get registered, encourage, especially first-time voters, because I have discovered that first-time voters, and I'm hearing it over and over and over, are having particular difficulty. You imagine the madness of these folks, sending persons to homes when individuals are at work during the day or at school, and if they're not there, they can't get registered. And even when you fill out the form or you go into the office, oh, we have to send someone over to verify the address is correct. Folks are at work, hustling, trying to make $1. You're at school, trying to make life better for yourself. Now, she would have an interest in keeping voter turnout down, but not this time around. Barbadians, we will come out in our numbers, and we will vote them out. Good night. God bless.
Barbadians, give it up again for Dr. Elvis Wickham. And as a medical professional, you heard him diagnose the ills of this country. You heard him speak about the corruption in this country. And this is serious times. Serious times. We cannot allow this to continue. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And we have seen the PR stunts. We've seen it. And we have seen the promises that have not been carried out. We have seen a movie, really and truly. And we have also seen in Parliament one man carrying the fight for all of us against 29. We have seen one man every single time he tries to make a point. They have all, according to the speaker, the asides or ignore the asides, but never once asking the other side to let the honorable member speak. But we are here tonight, and this is a rally. This is a rally. So when I shout, we rolling, you will shout, we Ravi. We rolling. We rolling. We rolling. How are you getting this? One destiny, we all in this with Ralphie. We all in this with Ralphie. With Ralphie, yeah, he crossed the floor not for fame or glory. He crossed the
we step up to set things right. From Christchurch East to St. Lucie.
So we are in this with Ralphie. And that song, he crossed the floor. He crossed the floor. But he crossed the floor because he is an honest man. And what he saw and what he knows, he had to leave. And he's come to the Democratic Labour Party to rescue this nation. It is not like others who have left the DLP after being ridiculed. After being ridiculed. Get Chase Man that said they don't want here in St. Philip. And he mined them and went to the city. But then you had the Minister of Public Works saying, of Transport Public Works saying, if you don't behave, we can deal with you. And he ran to the city. And it's only a coincidence after that song that the person I'm going to introduce next is the next representative for the city of Bridgetown. And let me read his CV. I want to get it right. Everyone in the earshot of my voice to know who your next representative will be. He's a financial advisor. But more than that, he's a community builder who understands what it means to be raised without advantage. He knows what it's like to work steadily for progress and to make the most of every single opportunity your own. He understands Asian hustle because he has lived it. This is a man who was valedictorian of the Barbados Youth Service and who carries those values of integrity and responsibility with him. He didn't just build a career. He launched a non-profit initiative to give people the tools and guidance to improve their lives. His belief is simple. When people are given the right tools, they can build a better future. That's what Barbados First looks like on our streets and in our homes. Ladies and gentlemen, join with me and welcome Mr. Dale Rowe.
That is the greatest. Now I'm going to come to blessings now. Well, today is a new day. Give thanks to life. All praises to the Lord, the safe and the sanctified. Now make them stress me. Me a one line. With Red Boom, TJ, and Moon, and my bonafide. I'm the Lord of our lives. Blessings around us.
Good night, City of Bridgetown. Good night, City of Bridgetown. Good night, Democratic Labour Party. Good night, everyone. Good night to every worker. Good night to every mother. Good night to every father. Good night to every vendor. Good night to every student. Good night to every pensioner. Good night to every business owner. Good night to all of the young people looking on and listening. Good night. Tonight I come before you with a heart full of gratitude, a spirit full of fire, and a mission that is bigger than you and I. Because tonight, it is not just the start of my campaign, it is a start of a movement for people, a movement for working people, a movement for ordinary Barbadians who keep this country running. For 7 years, we were not priority on that list. And I am proud to stand here as the candidate for the city of Bridgetown under the banner of the Democratic Labour Party. The Democratic Labour Party is the party for the masses, the party for the people, the party that always believe that your circumstances of birth should never decide your destiny. And let me start by telling you something straight. I am not here to whisper. I am not here to play plain politics or polite politics. I am here to represent the people who have been carrying this country on their backs for too long. The city belongs to our people, not the privileged few, not the well-connected, not the special class. The city is we thing. It belongs to we. And if you believe that, make some noise. Now some people come into politics because life was easy, because the road was paved, because opportunity was handed to them on a silver platter. And it was like, it's their birthright to join politics. But I did not come from that kind of Barbados. I came from a Barbados of real struggle. Survival is our daily goal, where you learn quickly that the world is harsh and it don't support you. You feel that you can fall through the cracks and there's no support system. And it is wider for the poor. And I stand here tonight as living proof. If a country chooses to build ladders instead of walls, people can rise. I didn't start in privilege. I started in pain. At the age of 8, I lost my father, and my mother was left to raise 2 children, myself and my sister. And I want to say something tonight that comfortable people might not like to hear. It is easy to judge a struggling family when you have never struggled one day in your life. My mother did what she did and what she believed so that she could put and keep food on the table and her children alive. To keep clothes on our backs, to keep a roof over our heads. And yes, life pushed her into choices that society will condemn, but never truly understand. She turned to prostitution to support me and my baby sister. And let me tell you something about that. People love to judge the poor. People love to judge circumstances. People love to put a negative outlook on those kind of people. They love to speak about morality. But often, the same people who judge the choices of the desperate have no intentions on fixing desperation. And that is why I am running for office. Because Bridgetown right now has too many people living on one paycheck from collapsing. One bill away from shame, one medical emergency away from poverty. And some people want to pretend that is normal. But I'm here to tell you tonight, that is not normal. That is not acceptable. And under the DLP, that will not continue. Because I grew up and I know what it means to be at the disadvantage. I know what it means to grow up I know what it means to grow up in hardship and pressure. I know what it means to feel like the system was never built for you. And plenty young men grow up in pain with no guidance, with no father, with no steady or positive role models in the household. I made mistakes. I was expelled from school. I ended up in trouble. And my family, I am not here to lie to you or to pretend that my life was perfect. I'm here to tell you the truth. Because of this truth, my story could have ended up in prison, or I could have been dead like any other young 33-year-old today. My story could have ended up in a grave like so many of our young men today. But the Democratic Labour Party led Barbados, and in that time, they would have implemented something called the Barbados Youth Service. And I'm here tonight to remind you, because there was a time this country understood something powerful, and the state and all its machinery must build ladders for the masses. Not a club for the elites, not a playground for the connected, not for, those 1%. So I understand, and I totally understand the hardship of the average Barbadian today. And that judge had a decision. He could have crushed me, he could have condemned me, but instead he put me in a system that called the Barbados Youth Service. He sent me there, and I am proud to say, and with pride, the Barbados Youth Service saved my life. The Barbados Youth Service was established, and the Barbados Youth Service gave me structure when it was chaos. The Barbados Youth Service gave me discipline when I had disorder. It gave me mentorship when I had none. It gave me a path when all I could see was a dead end. And here is what people need to understand. The Barbados Youth Service produced citizens, it produced workers, it produced fathers, it produced leaders. It produces young men and women who understand what it means to hold themselves with respect and responsibility. And I want to say something important tonight. Don't mind the name change. The Barbados Youth Service is an extension of Errol Barrow's legacy. Because Errol Barrow gave Barbados free education, he was sending a message to the world that success must not be reserved for the privileged. That education or opportunity must belong to the masses. And the Barbados Youth Service carried that same spirit, because it said, even if you fall, even if school rejects you, even if you slip, even if you make mistakes, Barbados still has a way back for each and every person. And that Democratic Labour Party, that is what was built, that is what we believe in. And the Democratic Labour Party is not for a few people up there. The Democratic Labour Party is for everybody. The Democratic Labour Party is for real people. The Democratic Labour Party is for the vendors. The Democratic Labour Party is for the bus drivers. The Democratic Labour Party is for the security officers. The Democratic Labour Party is for the nurses, the teachers, and the shopkeepers. The Democratic Labour Party represented the construction workers, the single mothers, the young men trying to get out of trouble, and the pensioners who deserve dignity. The Democratic Labour Party is a party for the masses, and I'm proud to stand in that tradition, because today Barbados needs opportunity. Young people needs opportunity because of my second chance, because of the Barbados that still has that system that believe in people. I stand before you as a community advocate. I stand before you as a man who understands that empowerment is not a motivational quote. Empowerment is more than a motivational quote. Empowerment is a policy. Empowerment is a commitment. Empowerment is programs. Empowerment is institutions. Empowerment is access. And empowerment is real support system. A real support system. That is the meaning of empowerment, not just a political slogan. Bridgetown deserves leadership. Leadership that understands people, not leadership that studies people from afar. Leadership that has lived the real struggle. Bridgetown is the heart of Barbados, and that heart is under pressure. Bridgetown is tired. Bridgetown is crying out. Bridgetown is crying out for serious leadership, serious planning, serious action. So tonight, I want to talk it plainly about what I see and what I feel. We can achieve the things that we can do in this city. We see a city where too many small businesses are barely surviving. Today they're open, tomorrow they're closed. I ain't got to tell you how the city look in COVID. Businesses still struggling to maintain, and businesses still struggling after that COVID situation. We see vendors and entrepreneurs trying to make an honest dollar. Well, the system work against them. Well, we can have a government that focus on investing 275 million outside as opposed to investing that money into our people. You get me? We see a city that should be clean and beautiful, but oftentimes you see garbage pile up. You get me? Buildings are left to rotten, to be dilapidated. You know, the streets are really in bad condition. Atrocious. You get me? We see young people with ability, not pathways. We see elderly citizens who built this nation not worrying if they are still members of this nation, because elderly people, the pensions is not good enough because the cost of living is so high. You get me? I want to ask tonight, is that the Barbados we want? This is not the Bridgetown that we deserve. And I am not running to complain. I am running to correct this issue. I am running to rebuild Barbados. I am running to rebuild Bridgetown. I am running to restore hope. I am running to restore opportunity and pride in this city. Because my campaign is not about fancy words. My campaign is about that belief, building that hope. When people are given the right tools and the right support, they can change the course of their lives. And I am living evidence of that truth. You get me? I was expelled out of school. I was sent to the youth service. And I am living proof that once you have the correct support system, you can change your life. So let me tell you my vision I have for Bridgetown under the Democratic Labour Party. A Bridgetown that works for every working people. A Bridgetown must be a city where if you wake up every morning, you work hard, and you build an honest life, you should be punished for it. We must make it easier, not harder, for small businesses and ordinary people to survive and thrive. So I am committing to practical support for small businesses and micro entrepreneurs. Not speeches, not slogans. We need real support for those people. A cleaner and prouder, you get me, a more respected city. A Bridgetown must not look like a place that government forgot. The city must reflect pride. We want clean streets, we want clean spaces, we want proper sanitation, a better public order. We not in a way that people can get bullied. People can get bullied into the issue that people face at CV. But we must put dignity and we must put systems in place to help our people. Cleanliness is respect. Cleanliness is next to godliness. We need safer streets and a city where people live without fear. People should be able to work late. People should be able to lime and do after our activities and feel safe to maneuver in the city. So we will push for a better community, safer strategies, better lighting, better conditions, and a real presence, not one when elections is here. Youth opportunity and second chances that actually work. I am a proud product of the Barbados Youth Service, so I will never forget the young people. Barbados need pathways for young men and women who are not academic stars, but still have potential. There are young people who need training. There are young people who need mentorship, discipline, and opportunity. We must bring back real systems that uplift our young people. And let me say something here right now. If Barbados can spend millions on things that do not touch our people, we can invest millions into our young people. A city that respects the elders. A city that cannot care for our elderly is a city that has lost its soul. We must strengthen support, community outreach, and programs that our elderly people do not feel left behind. That is a Bridgetown I believe in. Now some people will ask, Dale, why should I trust you? And I would say this: do not trust the pretty talk that come out my mouth. Trust me because I have lived it. Trust me because my track record is resilience. Trust me because my life is proof that I will not forget people. Because when you have been hungry, you do not laugh at hungry people. When you have been rejected, you do not reject others. When you have been helped, you believe in helping. And that is why I am especially proud to be a part of this great Democratic Labour Party. I am proud to be a part of this great Democratic Labour Party. I am proud to be a part of this capable team. A team that is strong, a team that is serious, a team that is disciplined, a team that have highest integrity. And yes, Bridgetown, I am proud to say that we are led by a great man. And that the name of that man is the Honorable Ralph Thorne. With him at the helm of this Barbados first, not just words, but in action. And under Mr. Ralph Thorne and the Democratic Labour Party, this party will uplift people. The party of opportunity, this is the party of the people. This is a party that fight for the small, ordinary man. This is the party that remembers the persons that are forgotten. This party will always fight for the injustices. So tonight, I am asking Bridgetown, join this team, join this movement, join this fight, because this election will come down to one simple question. Who does Barbados belongs to? Does it belong to the people at the top, or does it belong to the people? I know where I stand. I stand with the people. I stand for the working class people. I stand for vendors. I stand for single mothers. I stand for the youth. I stand for the pensioners. I stand for small business owners. And I stand for those men and women who built this country and deserve a fair chance in it. And I stand with the Democratic Labour Party because we have always been the party for the people. And tonight, I want to leave you with this. My mother's story is a story not of shame. It is a story of sacrifice. My childhood is not petty. It is resilience. My mistakes were not my end. They were my lessons. And the Barbados Youth Service experience was not punishment. It was redemption. It was direction. It was the moment Barbados reached out and said to me, "Get up, young man. Your life is not over yet." So if you ever felt like you were counted out, if you ever felt like you were judged, if you ever felt like you were forgotten, and if you ever felt like no one sees you, I come to you tonight and I want to say, I see you, I hear you, I know your pain, I know your sacrifice. I am here to represent you, the people of Bridgetown. I am here to continue a legacy of great leadership, because under the Democratic Labour Party, our Barrow, the Right Excellent Errol Wharton Barrow, created greatness, created opportunity, and under the leadership of Ralph Thorne, the Honorable Ralph Thorne, all 30 candidates of this Democratic Labour Party will represent the people of Barbados. We are for the people in Barbados. We are not for that elite few. So people, I am urging you, I am pleading to you, this country belongs to you. This country do not belong to that 1% or that minority. This country belongs to us. We need to stand up tonight. We need to stand up at this election, and we need to let our voices be heard, because for too long we have stood in silence. For too long we have not had a vision, a path, and a goal. Right now the Democratic Labour Party have a vision, a path, and a goal for our people, for our country, and for our future. So let this election be about you, the people. Go to those ballot boxes and nominate and vote for every single 30 candidates that we have, because I am proud to be a part of a fellowship with 30 females and males that actually put their lives up for service. So Barbadians, I am urging you tonight, this is the moment we will create history. So let us fight for our rights. Have a good night.
Since I'm moving, one day I'll go. Since I'm moving, since I'm moving.
That was the voice of the city, Daryl. Let's give it up for him again. Putting Barbados first means having a serious, credible plan to tackle crime and restore a sense of security for every single family. Our speaker is not the voice on this issue, but she's the leading authority. She doesn't talk about crime, she has studied it and its causes. She literally wrote a book called A Blueprint to Save the Nation. Let's stand and welcome Madam Verla de Pisa.
Buzz, buzz, buzz! Ah, run! Bees on the loose! Here come the D's! Take the pencil! Let's choose! Ay, ay, ay! Ay, ay, ay! He's marching in with necks so tight, pencil in hand, ready to fight. He's got flying chaos in the street, but the D's swing fast, they never miss a beat. Take your pencil and it over, draw the X for the D's, precise in the middle, small and neat. No line touch the bottom, that's the feet. We move beats, yeah we move beats, we move beats. Shh, now the B's gonna sleep with these. Who wins? These win. These win. These.
Good night, DLP family. Good night, City of Bridgetown. Good night, Barbados, here in Independence Square, online and across the diaspora. Before I start, I want to take a moment, and I want you to take a moment with me to remember a lady who gave a lot on behalf of the Democratic Labour Party. We lost a stalwart in Sybil Leacock who contributed literally up until the very last moment, well past the age of retirement, to the education of our nation's young people. My children did not go to Miss Leacock's private school for schooling, but my daughter attended Brownies at that school. And every evening that she was there, she was treated by Miss Leacock and the staff like she was a full member of their student body. And so, knowing what she went through for the Democratic Labour Party in 1981 election, I want us to give her her due respect and ask you, if you are seated, to please stand and let us observe a moment's silence. And may her soul rest in peace. And while we honor those who have gone before us, and we will never forget what they have sacrificed so that we can be, we recognize that it is our duty to continue the work that they have done. We recognize that it is for us to make a Barbados that our children and our children's children can live comfortably and peaceably. And it concerns me, as I am sure it concerns all of you, that in recent times, living peaceably has been far from our experience. Last month, the Commissioner of Police announced that we had less murders than the year in front. And when the statistics came out, it was literally one less than the year in front. But when you consider that the year in front had 50 murders, and that for the period from 2019, I'm going to give 2018 as a grace period because it was a half and half. But from 2019 until 2025, it has been 6 clear years of bloodshed on the streets of Barbados. An explosion of violence under this present administration. They had a lot to say about sewage on the streets of a parish, Christchurch. But the blood of our young men flows on our streets across the length and breadth of this country. We are 3 weeks clear into 2026. And today, our 3rd person has lost their life to violence. I have heard an oddity that it is not the responsibility of government, that it is the responsibility of everybody, it's society's responsibility to deal with crime. I want you to know tonight that the Democratic Labour Party has no intention of absolving its responsibility to keep the citizens of Barbados safe. That is a primary responsibility for those who lead. It is more too than just policy initiatives. It has to be that we have a country that our people want to live in, that our people feel comfortable living in, that our people understand that government has their backs and their front, not fronts, and their front when dealing with the crime situation. Because the experience under this present administration has been tepid. What do you mean you are paying the perpetrators? Because you say that you are going to pay them. When you give a fisherman money, what does he do? He buys a net, he buys a rod, he buys a boat, he buys the tools of his trade. When you pay the gunmen, what you think they're going to buy? It is not any stretch then that the violence has continued unabated. What do you mean? And then, when our leader, Ralph Thorne, with infinite wisdom and ultimate vision, announced to the country that he was setting up a commission on crime, this government ran and set up a council, an inert council, because we have no idea that anything has happened, and its most outstanding achievement has been the spectacular resignation of its chair. But the Democratic Labour Party and its leader, and I am not taking any kudos because the idea was not mine, and all of the work was, the words might be mine, but the research was team driven. And the research was informed by going and talking to you, by going and talking to businesses, by going and talking to organizations. And tonight, Democratic Labour Party, give yourselves a round of applause. The blueprint to rescue a nation was formulated, was put in print, was launched and disseminated that even the government, if they wanted to, could have done what is within its covers. And this document does not only identify the problem. This document does not only offer solutions, but this document says where to get the money from to make sure that you can get the solutions put in place. And tonight, I just want to run through a few with you, and there should be people going through the crowd with a leaflet for you, because I don't want you to simply listen to me. I want you to understand the philosophy of the Democratic Labour Party and what it intends to do on your behalf to curb the violence and the crime in this country. And as you check the flyers that are coming around, I want to go through a few of the proposals with you. I don't talk very much about the problem because we know, we live it every day. But I want to spend some time. It's obviously a very thick book. I can't go through all with you, and we couldn't put all on the flyer, but we picked out some. Please make sure the media houses get them as well. Don't hold back, because the critique is that we are up here criticizing the government as though, I don't know, that's not the job of the opposition, but so that the people of Barbados know that it is not just criticism, but that there are sound policies coming out of the Democratic Labour Party and a firm understanding of what it is that it will take that is necessary to curb crime in this country. And one of the biggest problems that you, the people of Barbados, signaled every time we went out with a questionnaire and a survey, you complained about the us and them in this country and how the boys on the block can't afford to buy neither gun, can't afford to bring in neither gun, can't afford any of the ammunition. But still they are the only ones facing any punishment. And this is not to give them a blight, because that too needs to be curbed. But one thing that we know for sure is that the Barbados Police Service, if able to go after what in this report we call the untouchables, the people who facilitate, the people who stand behind the scenes, the people who finance, if we know those people and they are the ones, cut off the head of the snake. Cut it right off. And the way to get that done is to allow the police to do their job. People seem surprised whenever I say, you know, the Barbados Police Service is not answerable to the Prime Minister. The Barbados Police Service is not answerable to the Attorney General. The Barbados Police Service, by the Constitution of Barbados, is accountable to our President. And there's reason for that, so that there is a buffer against political interference. And we need to go back to that. Leave policing to the police. And that one single stroke will cause shockwaves through Barbados, because then the financing is cut off and the blood life is cut off. And just to spend a moment on the police. We need more police. There's no doubt about that. We are down in numbers with the police. However, in our drive to increase the numbers, we must not sacrifice the quality of their training. And so, we need to start recruiting for the police service from early. This is not a shock. The Barbados Defense Force does it through the cadets. Let's be real. Within every school, there are organizations and after-school clubs that are recruiting agencies for larger ones. The Key Club for the Kiwanis. That is what they do. And in Barbados, we used to have the police boys and girls club. The building is still there. The facilities are still used. But we need the organization to be revived. Because that is a way of capturing young minds, influencing them, exposing them to the police service, and hopefully recruiting some of them to the service. There was a time in Barbados when we had a thing called community policing. Community policing is not putting an outpost in a community. It is where officers develop relationships with communities, involve themselves in activities, initiate programs, generate interest, create confidence. And we need to get back to that. It has nothing to do with hardline policing, which must continue because we have to root out the lawlessness. But it has everything to do with the overarching policing strategies that need to be employed. We don't need to tell the police to do the hardline policing. They know and understand their duties. But we need to have those softer policing skills also brought to bear across our communities so that we could gently work on those who are showing signs of deviance but haven't quite crossed the line. And for those who have crossed the line, we need to temper justice with mercy. And when I say that, this is what I mean. I was the most surprised person to realize that we do not have active, structured, remedial education in our prison system. We need to have the prison become a restructuring institution where deviants go in but recidivism is reduced. Recidivism is when they're continually offending. We need to understand the why, the social structures, what broke down in their lives so that we can reclaim them. You can't get all, but you're going to get some. And the bringing down of the crime is the important point. And within our communities, because it is not just in prison, within our community centers should be working as the hubs within our developments, not just as meeting grounds. Sports is important, but you should be able to learn skills at your community center. You should be able to get CVQs at your community center. You should be able to get CXC subjects at your community center. Your community center should be working for your community. And that is one thing I know for sure that sets the Democratic Labour Party apart from the other side. I keep hearing noise in my ear about how the two are the same. But when I see the social structures that get put in place whenever the Democratic Labour Party is in office, I know that there is a fundamental difference in the lives of Barbadians when you entrust your government to the Democratic Labour Party. And I call on you, after watching, as you were told, for the last 7 or almost 8 years, and they have nothing to show for it, because all I can see is harping back to the last administration. You almost was here for a whole decade and you can't show a thing that you do. I don't want to go off topic, but you bringing a whole set of buses and people still stranded in the bus stand. You bringing a whole set of garbage trucks and people garbage still piling up in front of their homes. You do, for sure, for sure. But then the Democratic Labour Party gets in office and puts people first. And it is never by happenstance. Never by happenstance. It is about having a completely different philosophy. And it is because the Democratic Labour Party understands that part of protecting its citizens is to ensure that we get a handle on crime. We have paid particular attention to this particular issue. And it is time to stop pussyfooting about with what we need on our books, our legislative books, to deal with the issue. Don't come and sound pretty talking about anti-terrorism legislation when first of all we already have anti-terrorism legislation on our books, and secondly you're confusing people and confusing the issue, because what we really need is anti-gang legislation. And let me explain the difference to you. Anti-terrorism legislation has an international connotation. Under the legislation that we have in place, every now and then, notices will be published of persons that you have to look out for at your borders, persons that you have to look out for coming to transact, like for me, legal business, things of that nature, who have been identified as international threats. That is what the anti-terrorism legislation aims to address. Anti-gang legislation allows us to deal with our at-home problem, because up to now we don't even have a definition of a gang to work with, but we busy telling people that we got 2 gangs in Barbados. I don't know why the feet are dragging on putting anti-gang legislation in place, but I have heard the leader of the Democratic Labour Party repeatedly commit this party to bringing anti-gang legislation as a matter of urgency to address the runaway crime in this country. And I 100% endorse him on that. And we need other forms of legislation too. We need whistleblower legislation. Y'all remember the young lady from, as it was at the time, Barrows' home, who came out and spoke out about abuses, and how they dragged her along like she was, I don't know, some piece of garbage, and threatened the lady. when she was actually doing us a national service. We need to protect people like that. That is what whistleblower legislation is all about. We need to ensure that those people who are putting their jobs on the line can do so understanding that they are not doing it maliciously, and we get the point. They're doing it to ensure that our country can do better, and they must not face recriminations for it. That is the kind of legislation that we want. Not taint. But I can understand why it would not resonate with the other side, because when you say I want money is the aim, then sound legislative provisions that allow for the orderly organization of the country that don't have a bottom line written in will suddenly not look so pretty. And we need to have social readjustment in this country. Now, we heard recently that different agencies of government have amalgamated under one umbrella. And there was a lot of fanfare over the opening of the first such office. And I asked a few questions. And what I learned is that they're still, I don't want to say separate, because they've been brought under one umbrella, but they're still disparate agencies, but they now have one board. So really what we have is as the Bajans were saying, next another layer without any report. We don't know any research was done to show that this would actually redound to the benefit of our people. Because the issues in welfare are not necessarily the same issues in the child care board. And for the one officer to be dealing with all is to make them jack of all trades and master of none. What we do need, and this is where the Democratic Labour Party is different, and what we are proposing, is that we have a whole of government focus on initiatives that would address reducing crime. And what do I mean by that? It means that we have a purposeful education system. We have an education system that has served us well for a while, but we have noticed that it serves a certain sector more so than others. The reason being that we have paid more attention to academics than we have to skills and to artisans. So what we need to do is to lift the profile of those skills and the artisans, not tear down the academics. We need to raise the profile of our technically gifted, of our artistically gifted, of our culturally gifted. We need to raise their profile up to the same level. So when you are issuing scholarships, you know that you can get a scholarship for maths and you could get a scholarship for welding. That is what we need. We don't need to be calling ourselves grade schools. We don't need to have any fluffy change. We need to have fundamental changes in our education system to build on the foundation that we already have. And that is the focus of the Democratic Labour Party, to ensure that we are spreading the wealth of education and our understanding of what education truly is. It is more than books. It is the skills that build a nation, and how a nation supports its young people in ensuring that the young people meet their goals, and in meeting their goals, they have armed themselves not with guns, but with knowledge that can help to build a country. And a whole of government approach would see decent work coming to the people of Barbados, because we have for too long talked about diversifying our economy and doing absolutely nothing to make it a reality. Why are we not using what we have in the sky? And we don't have to dig too far for a model. I remember the 1980s and the push towards solar water heating. That was indigenous. That was us. That was our knowledge. Those were our people. Our push towards solar should not be about bringing in panels and selling to people. It should be about making sure that up at UE, we are ensuring that our young people have the knowledge to build them right here. And having built them, that the government supports people in initiatives to ensure that our households get panels. Because when you do it by way of solar farms, and when you give the monopoly the opportunity to have its own solar farm, what you are doing is every single time equipping the same people over and over again to raise themselves up, whilst the majority of us wallow. And that cannot be the Barbados that we are looking to provide for our young people and for our next generations. We have to be serious, and that is just one example of diversifying the economy, to bring it home so that we literally can afford to put a unit on our houses. The smallest chattel house in Barbados, you can find a solar water heater on. Why can't we have solar panels on those roofs too? It is how you see your people that matters. And that is the vision of the Democratic Labour Party, understanding how in raising up the self-esteem of our people and raising up the opportunities for them to support their families, we remove from them the temptation to fall into crime. We need to be very serious, and I listen and I endorse. I was going to say Young Rowe. Dale Rowe, we need to be very clear which one. Dale Rowe 46, because he is an example of what can happen when you put in place programs to raise young people who are going astray. He doesn't hide from it. He was like, look at me. You can do like me. I could have gone that way and kept going, but these programs were put in place that allowed me to come back. And I am here standing tonight to show you how it can be done, and for you to follow me and the city of Bridgetown. I endorse him. I endorse that message, because that is the epitome of what the Democratic Labour Party intends for all of you. And when I say whole of government, I don't want anybody to scoff. We did this before. When Barbados was facing increasing numbers of HIV and AIDS, we put a policy in place that every single ministry had to have a policy dealing with HIV and AIDS. And we managed to contain the numbers. and increase the health and the viability of persons living with HIV and AIDS. And if we could do it for that small segment of society, it shows that we can do it. We can do it, Barbados, we can do it for all of society as we look to make the changes that would allow our people to rest comfortably in their homes. It is not my job to speak about economics, but I just want to say one little nugget. You can take all the praise for carrying up people's salaries and wages, but if you have done nothing to address the runaway cost of living, it is all smoke and mirrors and fluff. Giving people the opportunity to earn a living wage, to be able to own their homes or rent comfortably, to be able to support their families. All of that will benefit because there is a demonstrated relationship between high cost of living and high crime rate. And none of this is set in stone. It has to be fluid because things change. So we need to have our think tanks working. We need to have our statisticians on board. This is a full governmental drive. And you will ask, how are we going to pay for it? I did that research myself, so I know for sure it can happen. There are way too many grants, not loans, grants, including from the United Nations for crime alleviation. And we need to tap into those sources. Grants, not loans, because it is not the intention to burden the next generation to the point where their backs are buckled and they can't raise their heads up. And I cannot leave this podium tonight without speaking about the biggest way that we can save money. It's called accountability. I am sick and tired and hurting and fed up of reading every single year the Auditor General's report highlighting malfeasance and misfeasance. The difference is one is negligence and the other one is absolutely criminal. Highlighting all of these issues, and they become a 15-minute of fame conversation, and then they get washed away. And we talk about how many millions have disappeared in hope, and we talk about how many millions have come out of this place, and the latest one is dipping into the consolidated fund to give to companies. And in the meantime, our people are sucking salt. I don't have to itemize for you because my comrade Dr. Wickham did. Because of all the traveling on private jets with large entourages, money that could be spent in programs on behalf of our young people, on behalf of our poor, to ensure that they have a firm footing in this society and don't feel excluded from society. And as we build out job creation, it is an absolute necessity that we diversify our economy. Again, not a topic that I am to speak on, but it touches and concerns crime, because the lack of opportunities will cause people to create opportunities, and it is incumbent upon government not only to put programs in place, but to put a platform that those who wish to operate on their own as entrepreneurs can do so, and do so well enough to support themselves and their families. And so, obviously, if you only have one page in your hand, and this is over 100 pages, you know that the Democratic Labour Party is serious about rescuing Barbados from the scourge of crime. That the Democratic Labour Party is committed and undertaking its responsibility to its citizens to keep them safe. And so tonight, in full endorsement of the platform led by our comrade and leader Ralph Thorne, this Democratic Labour Party has solutions. Don't let them tell you otherwise. This document will be placed, just this one page, the blueprint already is online, but condensing it and breaking it down is going to be put on social media. Look for it. Don't read it and like it. Read it, like it, share it, and share it on every platform, because the people of Barbados have to know and understand that there is a different way of doing the business of government, and the Democratic Labour Party is committed to showing and demonstrating what we can do on behalf of our people. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, in the hearing of my voice, including those of you online, I just want to spare one last moment to say something to you. I saw a comment online. Just remember that you might go to vote for an opposition and miss and vote out a government. In case you don't know, that is an admonition to people who vex with the government to stay home. Tonight, Barbados, I call on you. If anyway the crime situation in Barbados has impacted on you, personally or otherwise, if you are sure that there is another way that we can do our business in this country, if you want that you are put first when government is developing policy and not big business and not the 1% and not those with the pockets that are already deep, if you are disillusioned with what you were told to watch, then on the 11th of February, it is your bounden duty on behalf of the people of Barbados to get up and go out and vote from 6 in the morning till 6 in the evening. That is your national duty. That is your contribution to change. That is you, Barbados, betting on yourself and bet those who bet you. I thank you.
We ready! We ready! We ready! Yellow is the code. We ready! Put them first and vote for DLP. Vote for DLP. Vote for DLP. All 30 candidates ready on the count. Behind God we stand.
Give it up for Verda de Pisa and the blueprint to rescue this nation. I have a question here tonight. Are you better off than you were in 2018? Because for sure, I know the young people are not better off. Quajwell, what do you have to say?
I certainly am not better off. And in this country right now, every single demographic is frustrated with this government. Every single demographic. But somehow, people are afraid to say it. We have permanent secretaries in this country coming out early, leaving the job. Leaving the job because they refuse to be bullied at their age. You have young academics, young brilliant minds in this country who are being frustrated because you have all these consultants who are getting all the big pay, but we are the ones doing the work. It is frustrating. And this Democrat-led party, you've heard all the speakers, you've heard all the issues. This Democrat-led party will put Barbados first.
And that's why we are proud to introduce our next speaker. He's a medical doctor by profession. He served this country as a Minister of Economic Affairs, and he's also the former Minister of Agriculture, Food, Fisheries, and Water Resource Management.
He's a man of substance, steadiness, clarity. He is ready to bring his vast experience back to the Democratic Party and to this country.
Please stand and welcome your candidate for St. Philip West, Dr. David Israel.
Higher standards, open hands. Respect the minds of the nations. Dignity across the land. What matters to the people guides every step we take. Country before convenience.
Let me say a pleasant good night to everyone. It is indeed wonderful to be on the platform of the Democratic Labour Party once again in Independence Square. I have a job to do tonight. And in doing that job, I have to take my time and I have to present some information to you, to the people of Barbados who are watching tonight. Let me say something straight up front. The Barbados Labour Party, they are a bunch of nutty liars. They are the ones who cause the high cost of living in Barbados. It is the Barbados Labour Party who is the one who placed the majority of taxes on the backs of poor people in Barbados when they came to office. I know they would want to tell you that the problem that we have in Barbados, when you cannot feed yourselves, young children going to school and going to sleep hungry. I canvassed in St. Philip this evening and it pained me in some areas I went. When families told me the suffering that they endure on a daily basis in this country. And let me explain to you what they did when they came to office. Look, do not forget, when they came to office, the first thing that they did was to increase the land tax on any people in Barbados that was earning over $75,000 per year by 40%. That's what they did. The second thing that they did was that they put 40 cents on a liter of diesel. They put 40 cents on a liter of gasoline. If that happens, then it means that every fisherman who has to put diesel in his boat has to increase the price of fish in Barbados. Every farmer that uses diesel in every one of his vehicles have to increase the price of all of the products that he sells to you. And let me tell you something else. Everybody in transport would have to raise the cost of transporting goods to you. That is why these prices are where they are. And they're going to continue. This government This government removed the municipal solid waste tax. That was a tax on property. It was a tax based upon property above a certain value. And you know what they did? They removed that and placed a garbage and sewage tax. Increase your water waste by $45 a month. Every single pensioner, every single poor man and woman in Barbados, your water waste went up by $45 per month. But this is the clincher. Every single business in Barbados had their water waste increased by 40%. What that means is that every business pass on that 40% increase to you. That is why the prices will be going up. I am not finished with them yet. The government placed a 7.5% tax on purchases made overseas when you use a credit card. And on top of the 17.5%, you have the 2% levy on top of that. So every single time you buy something, you pay 19% to the government. They are to blame for the problem. I can get there, girl. Now, there's the one here that I think you need to really come to grips with. This government went after poor people in such a way that they increased and placed taxes on collection of barrels from the post office. They went and collected and put taxes on collecting barrels from the port. But as all, let me tell you what the wicked did. They went and took all the farmers who are in the land lease program, and the farmers used to pay 60 cents for a cubic meter of water, and they went and raised it to $1.80. So if you were a farmer and that happened, but you don't have any choice but to raise your produce, price of your produce that you can sell, it is the government. And what is interesting is this: when they recognize the mistake that they made, they reduced it from $1.80 to $1. But these are foolish people. But I say 40% more, 40 cents more than the 60 cents, you puppets. So, the government went on and decided that they're going to continue to attack the farmers in Barbados. You know what they decided to do? They decided that every plantation in Barbados, with plantation wells, they're going to put meters on those wells. And when they use the water from the plantation wells to produce food for you, you got to pay taxes for that. You would understand what that's going to do to the food prices in Barbados. And then what is sad is that I heard the Prime Minister a couple of days ago made a statement when she was on some YouTube thing talking a bunch of wishy-washy rubbish, saying that one thing you can do is create new portals for the importation of cheap food. Now, can you imagine the Prime Minister saying that to you and you can produce food in Barbados? Can you imagine a Prime Minister telling you to vote for them and she is telling you that is what she intends to do? But let me continue to show you why they're the cause. They place a 2.5% health levy on top of you. 1.5% to be paid by the employer. The employer can pass on that cost through selling his goods to the people. You understand? Now, in 2022, they decided that they're going to put on a 20% tax on sugar drinks and a 20% tax on salty drinks. But Lord have his mercy, if I starve and hungry, I got to drink what I can't buy. You got to drink what I can buy. Now, this one I find incredible because this happened in the budget that we just had. What she did is that she got rid of the catastrophe fund and she formed something called the Resilience and Regeneration Fund. And she increased the contributions that the employers would have to contribute to that, but the employers going to pass on the increased cost to you. Now, when they went and attacked the domestic side of the economy in a way that undermines your capacity to consume, because once they increase the taxes on the things that you buy, it means that your money that you make on a week or monthly basis cannot spread as far as it did before. What they did, they then went after the hotel sector in Barbados. First thing they did is that they placed a tax on the hotel sector called a product development levy of 2.5%. Then what they did, they placed a 10% tax on services like Airbnb and home away from home. Then they went and increased value-added tax on the hotel sector in Barbados from 7.5% to 10%. That is what they did. Look, I can tell you something, see? And why all of that was going on, you know what they did? They paid right off $54 million. They wrote off $1.2 billion for the business people while they put all the taxes on the poor people. That is the reason why we are suffering in this country and people have challenges on a daily basis buying food and paying the bills. It is the government. Well, remember in the last budget, when they take a poor man that has a little hired car, what did they drop a $10 increase per day on top of that? Attacking poor people. They write off taxes for the wealthy, but they tax the poor people to pay the wealthy. That's what they do. Let me also go on and say this to you. And I'm going to be very slow and explain something to you in Barbados. The Barbados economy is driven by consumption. the consumption that drives the Barbados economy is 78%, which means out of all of government, all the production in the country, 78% comes from spending by you and me. If you therefore increase the taxes on me, our prices go up that I have to pay for. The only thing that's going to happen is I have to buy less. Or I have to buy something cheaper. And that is the reason why the government finds itself in a position where it has to be borrowing money morning, noon, and night in order to deal with the loss in revenue going back to the budget. And I will say this to you, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm most concerned about is this. Between January the 23rd, 2023, and December 2025, this government borrowed $6,897,000,000. Between January 2018, May the 24th, 2018, and January 2023, they borrowed $2.6 billion out of that. So between that, from the time they came to office, they borrowed almost $10.2 billion. Tell me what they did with it. Look around Barbados. Where did the money go? Look around Barbados. Where did you see $10.2 billion come? And I got to tell where it's from. I got to tell me. I got to tell Avidat Prasad or whoever you come, when you want to challenge me, you better darn well come good. But I can back up anything I have to say. Look, let me explain two other things to you. This government, when it came to office, attempted to pass 3 pieces of legislation that I want every Barbadian listen to me tonight to be very wary of. The first piece of legislation I want you to understand is this Barbados Identity Management Act, this Trident ID. The Constitution of Barbados gives you rights as citizens to, in order to get a passport, in order to get a driver's license, gives you the right to get government services, gives you the right to a passport, and Section 5 of that Trident Act. They say that you have to get your ID to get what you had when you became a Bajan. Are these people foolish? I got the right to have those things when I was born here. You can't bring no legislation to give me what I born with, you idiot. And you need to understand that that legislation, nobody in Barbados must ever stand for it. Never. Because David expect ain't standing for it. I guarantee you that. Let me tell you the other one. The other one is this cybercrime bill. On the democratic rights of you. Let me explain to you what I'm saying. The Constitution of this country gives you freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of association. The only time that those are in any way undermined is if you are engaging in sedition or riot. So how can you pass a piece of legislation that tells me that if I say something that annoys somebody, you're going to lock me up? If I say something that somebody disagrees with me and it causes stress, you're going to lock me up? And if I say something and you feel you're insulted, you're going to lock me up? And if you feel, when I say to you, I think you're an ugly idiot and you're foolish, you will tell me that I cause an annoyance and you should lock me up. All that is in the legislation, check it. You must not allow that to pass in Barbados. Never. The other one I want to tell you about is this one that the wiretapping legislation, the intercept legislation. That must never come to light in Barbados in its present form. And let me tell you why I say what I say. Because when the Attorney General, well, that smiley one, you understand? That smiley one. When in Parliament, when he was moving that legislation, you know what the man said? That they were trying to regularize what the police was already doing. He knew the police was breaking the law. I can't. How in heaven's name could the Attorney General go and make those statements and still hold the office the next day? Look, what is wrong with that legislation is this. There are certain responsibilities for the police and for judges that politicians should stay out of it. There should be no commission overseeing police function and what police officers are doing. And it should not be reported to no politician. You see, he's going down a dangerous road. And if we go collectively as the people understand that it is not whether you like me or you hate me or you hate this, but I don't care about that. It is what is right and in the interest of this country for our children and grandchildren. Understand what I'm saying? And in respect to that wiretapping legislation, they put in that legislation that that you could tap the people's phone without a court order from a judge. They gave the commissioner of police and they gave a director of the commission the right to tap your phone without a judge court order evaluating the evidence against you to give the right to execute that order. We must not allow that to happen. We have competent judges and we have competent police officers. And if an investigation is done and it is deemed necessary and for you to have an order from the court to tap somebody's phone, go through the right process. And then on top of that, do you understand that they go report to a politician? What rubbish we going down with? Look, this other one, I want you to understand very carefully. This government, when I took up the people land, I gave away to Affection Bank. Affection Bank in 2024, a gross assets was 25.6 billion US dollars. Its gross revenue was 2.5 billion dollars, and its net after tax revenue was 970 million US dollars. That is a profitable bank. So why should you give away poor people land? Tell me, why would you do that when they could have afforded to buy it? Say, these are wicked. And then on top of that, when they went to borrow money to rebuild Kensington Oval, Affection Bank is supposed to be a development bank. A development bank lends you money between 1% and 3%. You know what Affection Bank loaned the money at? 8.5%. It got so bad that Antigua Gaston Brown said they came and offered them loans at 13%. And then you could have the audacity to give the chairman of that bank the highest order in Barbados. What did he do to earn that? Because he gave you a loan. What enough in this country? See, that is why sometimes my mouth is bringing me in trouble, but I will never fight them, man. You see, because my mommy tell me, son, to thine own self be true. And I therefore, when I speak to you, I tell you what is true, because I have the facts in my files. A medical doctor always do things. He has files at home, and he has files elsewhere. When we were a colony, the government was controlled by what we call the means of production. All it meant is that all the production in Barbados was owned not by Bajans, by foreigners, the English. But what has happened? When you become independent and you control your own means of production, they switch to a new strategy. That strategy is to control your thinking, control your mind as you prostitute your hand for the money. Do what we're telling you to do, or you ain't getting the same. That's why I tell you, there are a bunch of whores and prostitutes. Things of all, boots of all today. Look, two other things I want to say, you comrade Ralph will be firing up very shortly. I told you today that I felt really moved. I felt really moved today while I was canvassing in 2 areas of Waldron as I came out of Covely, the villagers. And one repeating theme from the people is that place called the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Look, I graduated as a medical doctor in 1995. And I worked in the cardiac unit and I answered the emergency at the point in time with my man, Dr. King, Wharton, and F. Boys. I am telling you something tonight. It pains me to hear that people sit and die. It pains me every day when I hear a man has to go inside that place and stay a day or two just to be treated. And I want to say to the people here tonight that Comrade Ralph Thorne and I and other things, we have been sitting down and we have been working out how we can resolve these problems for you. And I am telling you, I am not like Jerome Logan, I used to go Dr. Do Little and Dr. Do Nothing. We are going to get it right for you. And all I can ask you to do tonight, ladies and gentlemen, stay focused with the Democratic Labour Party. I know nobody come out here and tell you rubbish. How the party ain't ready, a bunch of ignorance. The party has well-experienced politicians with young politicians. And any area of politics that Ralph Thorne needs support with, we know how to get it internally and externally. We can get it from them out there. The don't say they don't know nothing. You can imagine in Norway said that he was going to export 1 million kilograms of sweet potatoes to England when there was a shortage. They should export it to England. And then we went at the Darwell, went out there and we black belly sheep. And now we're going to venture in Barbados and send them together, send heat them like a sheep. Let us take it. And I told you tonight they are a bunch of liars. Because I told you enough lies about the sugar industry. They tell you that they privatize it. that tell you that it was being run by co-op energy. And then when it was all done, the head of co-op energy came and said, we don't have the assets, we don't own it, we don't run the industry. And then the government went and terminated the MOU. After that, and when we had all the sugar outside and with the bags on the ground in the rain, with rats and cats and dogs. You see, what they have done is they have brought the sugar industry on its deathbed. And the Democratic Labour Party will have to take a decision. I want you to understand, I ain't telling you what isn't true. A week or two ago, the head of Barbados Sugar Industries Limited was in the newspaper saying that the industry will die if the government continues to give out contracts for the importation of bad sugar from the region and destroying the local industry. That is what they want to do. That is why they're building the food terminal in layers and to bring in food in Barbados and destroy our productive base. And that is why the Prime Minister in her YouTube thing said she was now seeking new routes for the importation of cheap food. It all works together. Think about what they're doing, man. Think about what they're doing. But remember this very carefully. We understood that a small developing country cannot compete internationally on volume and price. And what you have to do instead to produce domestically where you can produce. And I am saying this to you, it was a reason why we had the BMC. It was a reason why we had the Barbados Markets and Finance. It was a reason why we had the RS cement plant. It was a reason why we had the Pine Hill Dairy. It was a reason why we had a whole set of, we had an insurance corporation of Barbados. We had a Barbados National Bank because they were owned by the people, producing goods and services for the people, and they went and sell all of them to Trinidad. Look, as I wind up, let me just say this. The next time I have the opportunity to speak, I am going to deal with the economy of this country. And I'm going to show you, as I show you tonight, the taxes that they put on people in this country to increase the cost of goods in the country and services. I will show you unequivocal evidence that all they will be telling you about the economy doing good are all lies about debt to GDP. The GDP are going up. You know why it's going up? Because in August 2018, they revised up the GDP by 10%. In December 2025, they revised the GDP again up by 7.5%. So the GDP went up by 17.5% in Barbados at the time where people can't eat, you can't pay your bills. The police system is having a challenge with crisis, transport crisis, housing crisis, people suffering, wars and problems, poor people can't buy food, but on top of that, they do that most important for me. But that's the point. Every housing project that they tried end up in pure collapse. Every single one. So the point I'm making is, if the GDP increased by 17.5%, how can everything else in the country be getting worse? And prices in Barbados went up by 23%. And you know what raised your salary by? 23 cents. But as I said, I will deal with this in a more significant way in the next time that I have the opportunity to speak, and I will concentrate on the economy of this country. I want to therefore say to you tonight, I want you to stand with this great party. I want you to be the wind under the wings of our comrade and leader, Ralph Thorne, and the other members of the party. I want every single member of the Democratic Labour Party to find all of the supporters of the party and bring them out to the polls. You cannot afford to stand home. It is too serious an election. If you allow this government to get back in office, Quapo, smoke your pipe. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Bees on the loose. Here come the D's. Take the pencil. Let's choose. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. These marching in with necks so tight, pencil in hand, ready to fight.
No. No. Recently, we had a retreat of the candidates, and Dr. David Esway was one of the main presenters, and I can tell you that this Democratic Party and us, the young candidates, are very privileged to have you, Dr. David Esway, as part of our team. Give us a round of applause one more time for Dr. David Esway. No, I would have gone to St. Lucie recently for a funeral. One of my constituents, mom, had passed away, and I went to show my support. And while there, I met someone who told me that I was going to get a lot of lashes. But the thing about it is that I'm going to introduce someone who they call Sixes. His nickname is Sixes. And we are going to see who will get the lashes. Because in St. Lucie, we have a situation where Peter paid for Paul, and Paul paid for all. That is why there's an unfair and unjust sewage tax where, although they're getting the brown water, they're still paying the same tax that everybody is paying for. So Paul is paying for all. And with no further ado, I'm going to introduce to you the next representative of UC, the man they call Sixes, the community man, Mr. Ian Griffith.
Let me start that one here. Like how Martin Luther King started. My journey.
Good night, Barbados. Can't hear you. Good night, Barbados. Good night to the Democratic Labour Party family. Good night to the faithful and the first-timers, the undecided, and everybody who still believe and know that this country can be better. Now I am privileged to take this job tonight. And I'm very glad it's at this time, because having to traverse the roads and of St. Lucie coming here and the delay that we have suffered. But anyhow, tonight we are not here for politics, as usual. We're here for leadership. We are not here for show. We are not here for substance. We are here for substance. And that is why in moments like these it matters. Because our country deserves a steady hand
a clear mind. And above all else, our country deserves a leader who understands that public office is not a prize. It is not a prize. It is leadership. Tonight, I am profoundly proud to bring to you a man that represents exactly that. Conrad Thorne is a man whose public life has been defined by constitutional integrity, disciplined advocacy, and respect for democratic balance. Even when the other side would like to toss our democracy through the window. He understands that strength of Barbados is not just in beaches and tall, elaborate buildings, but in our institutions, our laws, and the values that keep our democracy standing strong. Now let me tell you something. Ralph Thorne is not new to hard work. And he's not new to serious responsibility. And if by the events that occurred recently in the lower house or anything to go by, you can starve. Because you got to listen to this tonight. I tend to think he is our David. And with him at the control, Goliath will be no more. You hear what I said? Goliath will be no more. My friends, tonight Barbados is at a crossroads. We are at a crossroads. And in a moment like this, we don't need leaders who shout the loudest or with cunning and fancy words. We need leaders who stand strongest. We don't need leaders chasing global popularity, fame, and pageantry. We need leaders committed to us, to you, the people of Barbados. Ralph is the man for Barbados. So, ladies and gentlemen, people of Barbados, as I have traveled from the north, the birthplace of our Excellency Errol Walton Barrow, I am honored to give to you the political leader of the Democratic Labour Party. I am proud to give to you the next representative of the parish of St. John. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honorably proud. I give to you the next Prime Minister of this country, Barbados. Red and Ford.
brother.
One vision, one people, one destiny. We all in this with Ralphie. We all in this with Ralphie. Yeah. We all in this with Ralphie. Yeah. Yeah. He crossed the floor not for fame or glory. He crossed the floor to rewrite the story. The people vex, the country tight. Ralphie step up to set things right. From Christchurch to St. Lucie, everybody know he stand for we. He watch them laws, line by line. Hey, he said follow the law, not the head lady. We all in this with Ralphie. We all in this with Ralphie. Yeah, we all in this with Ralphie. Yeah, one vision, one people, one destiny. We all in this with Ralphie. He crossed the floor to unite the country. So everybody sing in harmony. We all in this with Ralphie. Yes, we all in this with Ralphie. Hey, hey, yes, we are.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. As I look directly ahead of this platform, those who arranged it must have put some effort into arranging the particular location of this platform, of this microphone. And I am drawing on the energy that is directly ahead of me. Let us stand and give honor to the name of our Walton Barrow. For the duration of this speech, I will see the image of our Barrow. And it is our Barrow from whom I will draw inspiration tonight. But I also draw inspiration from the children and the grandchildren of our Barrow. Here in this square. Here in this square. Let me first begin by thanking my good friend. Look, 2-3 weeks ago, Sixes and I were not close. He told me I can't call him Sixes, but tonight is a new night. Sixes, where are you? That is a wonderful introduction, and I thank you. I say thanks also to those who came before me, Don, Dale, Elvis, man of God. This is a platform that will bring to you some of the outstanding, thank you, young Barbadians. Dr. Elvis Wickham, I say thank you tonight. And thanks for all that you have done for this great Democratic Labour Party in perpetuating the legacy of Errol Walton Barrow. And I thank Dale Rowe. Dale knows that I feel very specially about him and towards him. A man who speaks honestly of his beginnings. And he is a man who speaks proudly of his beginnings. And we love him for it. We do love him, and the city of Bridgetown will love him even more for it. This lady has become Democratic Labour Party's female rock of Gibraltar. One of the people marked the death in her speech of one of our patriarchs, Mrs. Sybil Leacock. And little does Verla know, she will now stand in the stead, the vacant stead left by Mrs. Leacock. Again, one of the outstanding ladies who guided this party. And Verla now sits in stateswomanship. My friend, the doc, David. Y'all don't know David. So, at the University of the West Indies, when he and I were there together, this is no overnight thing.
I go years back. And David, I don't know, I can't see this crowd, but you know, some people had some design that David and I should be separate. Should be separated. That was design. But we recognize our history, our personal history. And we recognize our joint mission for this Democratic Labour Party, for this Barbados. And what our histories have put together, no man, no mischief will put asunder. The love that has passed between David and I as brothers, as the children of Arrow, Walton Barrow, that love will not be put asunder. That brotherly love will not be put asunder by any man. I hear a lady saying, can't break that bond. You can't break it. David, you're my brother. And I love you, my brother. I thank you tonight for the endorsement that you have given me tonight, and all of the speakers. And you. There's something that has drawn this crowd here tonight. It's nothing physical, you know. It's nothing physical. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but there's something happening tonight in this country, happening to your country, and we wrestle against it. And it is not only flesh and blood, but it is spiritual wickedness in high places. And we thank you for continuing the struggle. We thank you. This Democratic Labour Party thanks you, its members and supporters, and the people of Barbados, that you have the courage to wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. I saw it out there. I saw it behind me. For the last 2 years, I observed it, and beyond 2 years, I observed it. It's behind, physically behind me, that parliament. But I can turn my back on the parliament tonight and look at that gentleman called Arrow Walton Barrow, and it is his spirit. It is his spirit that will lift this country out of the depths of despair imposed upon the people of this country by the Barbados Labour Party. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. I will see you tonight about that. Chairman Ian has introduced me. Chairman Ian has introduced me to you. I want to introduce you to me. I want to introduce you to me. And when I introduce you to me, understand why I am where I am here on this elevated platform of the Democratic Labour Party. You will understand why I can no longer stand in the Barbados Labour Party. I introduce you to me tonight. And decency, and honesty, and integrity will not find a safe haven within the Barbados Labour Party. I introduce you to me tonight. I was born in a colony. I repeat, I was born in a colony. I was born in a British colony. And there are a lot of people here tonight who understood what it meant to be born in a colony. That the dispossessed and the disrespected, the disadvantaged and the disenfranchised are made to feel like nobody. I'm not supposed to be here leading this party. I was born in a colony among the disadvantaged and the disrespected and the dispossessed and the disenfranchised. I was born in a colony. And tonight, I stand in the shadow of a man who lifted this country not only out of colonial status, but lifted the last class out of the last class and into places of dignity. I was born in a colony. And that gentleman in 1966 lifted Barbados out of colonial status, but not only did he lift Barbados out of colonial status, he lifted us out of places of disrespect, disenfranchisement, dispossession, disadvantage. Gave us self-esteem, told us that we are somebody in our own country. I was born in a colony. And in 1963, when I went to Grayson Primary School, I sang God Save the Queen. I sang God Save the Queen, young people. And I want the young people here tonight and the young people in Barbados to understand that your history is important, and that your parents are important, and that your grandparents are important to you, and the experience that they had. You must connect yourself to that experience and applaud them even for survival. Applaud them for their own survival. Because if they did not survive, you would not be here tonight. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. We were born in a colony. And at Grace Hill, as I said before, and I'll say it again, I sang God Save the Queen. And that gentleman in whose shadow we stand tonight ensured that we would change the lyrics of the hymn in plenty and in time of need. When this fair land was young, in 1966 I sang that. I left Grace Hill in 1966, July. This is personal testimony tonight. This is the testimony of a little black boy from Grisettes tonight, who transferred from Grace Hill and went to Wesley Hall, and for the first time, I sang our national anthem and went to the Q Church. Ma'am, that's Vadney. Went to the Q Church. I have a lot to say tonight, personal testimony, because the boy from Grisettes is part of the experience of this man. And I know how it is to be poor in this country. I know how it is to be disadvantaged and dispossessed and disenfranchised. And all the wrong, all of the injustices that meet poor people in this country. Poor people in this country. And it is this Democratic Labour Party that has given voice, that has given a place of pride to poor people in this country. I was born in a colony. And tonight we are no longer a colony. Or so we thought. Because this Barbados Labour Party is returning the majority of people in this country into colonial status. That is what they're doing. But the little boy from Grisettes, I run all about Grisettes barefooted. Nothing to be ashamed about. I was not supposed to be here in leadership of any party. I don't know who brought me here. I don't know. But the afternoon I walked in to the Democratic Labour Party and Derek Allen embraced me. My friend Derek Allen and Patrick Dollop embraced me. Black Rock man, Grisettes man, Deacons man, Goodland man, K-Phil and Eden Lodge, and all of St. Michael and all of Barbados, from St. Lucie in the north to St. Philip, the last class. We're not supposed to be here. We were not supposed to be here. I was born in a colony, and in a colony people like me don't come to these places. But tell them that we are here, and nobody ain't moving we. Nobody ain't moving we. Can't move Barbados, so they can't move me. Thank you. I want you to hold that position tonight. All about Grisettes barefooted. These feet know the dust of the village. These bare feet walked across Long Gap as a little 5-year-old boy to Grace Hill Primary. And when I'm asking my mother why you didn't send me on the short distance up the hill to Montgomery, her position was, you gotta learn the long road. I was born in a colony, you know, and transferred from Grace Hill to Wesley Hall in 1966. Why not go to Montgomery? Montgomery was the short road. I would have gone 5 minutes up the hill. This little scrawny fella walked 2+ miles, almost 3 miles, every morning, every evening, challenging the traffic of Barbados Hill and the deep gutters, and you're frightened that you fall in the deep gutter. And Eagle Hall corner was a difficult corner for a little 6, 7, 8-year-old boy to negotiate. You could have died so easily. But every now and again an adult came along when the village was the village and took us across the street. When Barbados was Barbados. I'm not supposed to be here, you know. We're not supposed to be here, you know. This place was not designed for people like us. We were born in a colony. And when I asked again, why Wesley Hall? 5 minutes up the hill to Montgomery. Our little house was nestled in the hill of Grisette's, Rockhampton Road, Grisette's, a place that I love with all my heart, and I would not change it. I saw some Grisette's people here tonight. And the love that I feel for Grisette's and for my people and Spooners Hill and my people is a love that is unsurpassed. And we feel the love for our villages. Because when there were authentic villages, there was love. I wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness. In high places, I was born in a colony. And tonight we are no longer a colony. And then I moved from Wesley Hall to Harrison College. And I have put this into writing. And I want to tell you, I'm not going to spend the whole night on my biography. But I want to tell you tonight that moving from the poor little boy running up and down Grisette's and the Grisette's playing field in bare feet and moving to Harrison College, you then begin to occupy 2 worlds. You begin to occupy 2 worlds. Because for a little black boy coming from Grisette's, going into Harrison College was a new culture, a different culture. And I mean them no disrespect tonight. But there was a sense in which Harrison College represented the values and the attitudes of the colonizer. And some of us, and many of us, were made to feel that we did not belong. But God is a good God. And God is a merciful God. And just as they tell me that it is God that brought me into this Democratic Labour Party and into this place, maybe there were some who told me that the little barefooted boys from Grisette's and St. Lucie and St. Philip and St. Joseph and St. Andrew, I met so many of them, that maybe it was God that placed us there. And we, indeed, say it again, ma'am, were it not for Errol Walton Barrow, he would not have been in there. And the greatest revolution that took place in this country, I say it all the time and I will say it again, took place in 1961 on the night of the election that election, James Cameron told me this story. So James Cameron should have told me this story while I was at the University of the West Indies. That on the night of the election, Errol Walton Barrow turned to him and said, James, what are we going to do with this mandate? What are we going to do for the people? What can we do? And Sir James answered with one word: education. Education. And when James Cameron Tudor uttered the word education, it lifted the lives of the people of this country who had been born in a colony. And it was a natural progression that 5 years later, it would no longer be a colony. Thank you, Errol Walton Barrow. Thank you, James Cameron Tudor. Thank you to the Democratic Labour Party. Thank you to the people of Barbados. I was not supposed to be here. You were not supposed to be here either. But there's a God. And there's God's children as well. People who take the time to practice something called social justice. People who take the time to bring fairness into the lives of people. And I tell you, my endurance over the last 2 years has been an interesting endurance. And I confess to you that many people come and tell me about the calling programs and what they're saying about me. I don't listen. I don't listen. I don't listen. This has been a journey. This has been a journey not made by those men, nor those women. The good among us have convinced me that this path has been a divine path. And I don't say that lightly. This sinner, I am a sinner. This sinner does not say that lightly, but this sinner believes in God. And I must do. I must do. It has not been an ordinary journey. But the journey did not begin 2 years ago. The journey began with the little barefoot boy from Grisette, who grew into a man. And the experience of this man contains the experience of the boy. And the boy is joined to the man. And the boy that was surrounded by social injustice in this colony, that experience has influenced the mind of the man who has been placed into leadership of this party tonight. I wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual, and let me add, political wickedness in high places. I was not supposed to be here. I was not even supposed to be in the parliament. They can go up to St. John and they can spend all the money that they took from you. My message to the people in St. John: take it back. It is your money. Take it back. They didn't have the time to fix the roads. They didn't have the time to provide housing for poor people. They didn't have time to alleviate the suffering of poor people in this country who can't send their children to school because they don't get breakfast. And they don't want me to say, they don't want me to speak truth to the people. They don't want me to speak truth to them. They don't want me to speak truth to them because they believe that their power must dominate us for the rest of time. I was born in a colony. You were born in a colony. We're not going back there. We're not going back there. And it is the Barbados Labour Party that has taken this country on the road back to colonial status. Are we going back there? We're on the road to freedom tonight. We're on the road to freedom tonight. And the little boy found himself in State House. My mother passed in 2023, November. I beg your pardon, September. My father, he passed in August 2004. You know, I spend many days wondering if my mother were alive, if I would have done this. The abuse, the cursing, I can't find the words to describe my endurance. But the little boy from Grisette's, as the song says, there's something inside so strong. Something inside so strong, and they don't understand what made us. They don't understand that when those people were in the cane fields, it was strength. Not only physical strength, but spiritual strength. And we are products of that. And we know how to fight. And we know how to work hard. And we know how to resist the enemy. We know how to do it. This is not about flesh and blood, but we resist spiritual wickedness in high places. Welcome to the village. Welcome to the village that became a nation. Welcome to the Democratic Labour Party that was made by Errol Walton Barrow to take this country out of the status of village and turn it into a nation. We are the children of this nation. We are the legitimate children of this nation. And we must never for 1 minute of the day believe that this is not our place. We must never believe that Barbados is not our place. And that's why you will see on our shirts and on all of our paraphernalia, Barbados first. It is a term that says a lot. It is a term that speaks as to our rightful place in this land. This land where our forefathers worked hard, and taught us how to work hard, and taught us how to take the long road when the short road was too easy. Parents and grandparents. And anytime we deny our parents, and anytime we deny our village, we deny ourselves. And this is not a party, and it should not be a country that is into denial of self, that is into denial of our past, because it is our past that gives us strength. So help us God. I was born in a colony, and you were born in a colony, and we are here tonight. Let us announce the Democratic Labour Party here tonight in the Square of Independence. We are here tonight. And are we going to stay here? Is this our country? Are we going to put Barbados first? We're going to take it back. We're going to take it back. We're losing it. And unless we join our hands, and not only join our hands, but join our hearts in the struggle, our children will also grow in the new colony of the Barbados Labour Party. And look at what the Barbados Labour Party is doing to the children of this country. If you doubt me that we are returning to colonial states, watch every that the Barbados Labour Party puts on the degradation, the vulgarity, thank you, the decadence, the disrespect that they inculcate into the minds of our children. We did not know that. We did not understand that. We are now the generation that must call ourselves the leaders of this country. That is who we must be. And if we have children, we must lead them in the way that our parents led us and our grandparents, and in the way that the village led us. We were born in a colony. And now, in the Barbados Labour Party colony, we must once again lift ourselves. And we must once again lift our children out of the BLP colony. And they're walking around here trying to tell our fellow citizens that they should not vote. That they should not vote, and it is not even a clever way of protecting the Barbados Labour Party. 60% of the people in this country over the last 2 elections did not vote. And the Barbados Labour Party want us to keep it that way. For the sake of the colony. For the sake of the Barbados Labour Party colony. And we must say to our people, and we must say to our friends and our neighbors, that whenever anybody comes with that nonsense about not voting, introduce them to their parents, introduce them to their grandparents, who know and understand struggle and who know and understand the importance of the vote. And that in 1961, if the people had not voted, and in 1961, if the people in this country had not voted for the Democratic Labour Party, many of us would not have had an education. When you walk through the storm, hold your head up high. That's the song that got me on tonight. And don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky. And we will see that golden sky after the 11th if you do what you must do. If you do what you must do, we will see that golden sky. Because there are dark clouds hovering over this country. There are dark clouds hovering over your country tonight. Because of a Barbados Labour Party government. I was telling you about my visit to State House, Government House, whatever they call it. And when I went there, all I could do was to reach into the pews of the Q Church. The boy that was in the Q Church pews was still resident inside the man who had crossed the river, who had crossed the Rubicon. And a crossing of the Rubicon is a crossing in respect of which there is no return. I am with you tonight. I am with the Democratic Labour Party tonight. And the Democratic Labour Party is with the people of Barbados, and the people of Barbados are with the Democratic Labour Party. I was born in a colony. No more colonialism in this country, whether it is the foreign colonial power or the Barbados Labour Party on 111 Robert Street. We must banish them. We must banish them. And as I said in February 2024, 2 years ago, when the media spoke to me, I trust in the Lord with all my heart and lean not unto my own understanding. In all my ways, I acknowledge him. Say it again, my sister. And he shall direct my path. What is your path tonight, Barbados? Barbados, is your path the path of apathy? Barbados tonight is your path the path that will deny yourself the right and the duty to change this government. This is illegitimate government. This is corrupt government. This is government that has no regard or respect for the people of Barbados. And even less for the poor people of Barbados. We, the poor people of Barbados who were born in the colony, disrespected, dispossessed, disenfranchised. Tonight, we must go home and we must return to our phones, our telephones, and those doubting Thomases, those who doubt, those like Nathaniel who doubted, who asked the question, can anything good come out of Nazareth? We are the answers to that question. This Democratic Labour Party is the answer to that question. Can anything good come out of Nazareth? And I want you to say on the 11th of February, come and see. Come and see. Come and see what this Democratic Labour Party can do for this country. Come and see what this Democratic Labour Party has done for this country. Come and see. That is the message we send to them. So don't let any clever people come telling you nonsense about not voting. They know what they're doing and they know why they're doing it. They know that it is very likely that less than 25% of the people in Barbados, the electorate, intend to support this Barbados Labour Party. They know that. And they're afraid. And they will do anything. And all the threatening letters that they send to me don't faze me. I don't even open them. They write on the cover and call me all kinds of names. I don't even give them to the police. I have them there at the office. All kinds of things. And you know, you learn to enjoy the threats. You learn to enjoy the abuse. Because it means you're hurting them. And we are going to hurt them. We're going to hurt them on February 11. We're going to hurt them. And in advance, they're feeling the pain that the people of this country intend to impose on this illegitimate government called the Barbados Labour Party. They're feeling the pain. And they're acting in advance. So all the threatening letters, unopened as they are, all the abuse, or what they call a calling program, some of them seem obsessed. I don't worry about that. I don't worry about that. They know the struggle that my parents went through. They know the struggle that your parents went through. They know what it was to be at a workplace where if you got injured, there was no national insurance before that gentleman came along. Do they know that? Do they know that? And do they understand that the daily attacks on me and this Democratic Labour Party do not pain us? Because our parents have already borne the pain for us. They've already borne the pain for us. They died and suffered like Christ. They died and suffered when they died and suffered. And that is why we must have the courage to press on. This is not about us now. This is the legacy of our parents. This is the future of our children. And are we parents tonight? And if there's any parent in this country who says that he will not vote, he does great dishonor to his children. If he cannot see what this Barbados Labour Party is likely to do and is doing to his children when a Minister of Education writes a letter to a little primary school child and says to him, count the dollars that we spend on your education, and it contains a veiled threat. The threat to remove from the little children of this country the free education that that gentleman there. Look at him tonight and do him honor. I told you this was a colony. And I told you that gentleman elevated and liberated us from the colony. I told you that. And I told you that the last 7 years of famine have returned us to colonial status. Let your voices ring loud in their ears. Let them be afraid of the voice of freedom and the voices of freedom. We coming for them on the 11th of February. I want to tell you, I've told you my history, a short part of it. And it is my history that has brought me here. That fits in with your history, and your history fits in with mine. I can't see a millionaire in this crowd. I can't see a man in this crowd who controls the commanding heights of the economy. Not one. Why do we do this? And why have we done this for generations? We have done this for our freedom. And it is necessary to continue on that path to freedom. And I repeat, the Barbados Labour Party government has reversed from the freedom that the people in this country had. And I've said that to you to tell you about Arrow Barrow's project in social democracy. Social democracy, it is not, let it not be words that escape your comprehension. All social democracy is a joining of the resources of the private sector with the power of a government. And in a country of social democracy, a government encourages the private sector. Whether it is the very wealthy private sector or the small entrepreneurs, it's the private sector. And the government joins with their rights and freedoms its own power to tax. Its own power to tax. Because it is taxation that enfranchises those who have little and in many cases have nothing. And so the government becomes the trustee, not only for a sector of population, but for the entire population. The power to tax is one of the most important governmental powers in a country. And we will demonstrate to you how this government's taxation policy intends to return the people of Barbados back to colonial status. We will demonstrate that to you. And because of government's power to tax, government has been able to gather resources to support the social services. Healthcare. It is your taxes that built the Queen Elizabeth Hospital where you don't pay. That they're not supporting. I told you we're becoming a colony again. It is your taxes that has made education in this country free. That they're mashing up there, Colleen says. It is your taxes that provides a transport board, and I will say again, the transport board is not about financial profit. The transport board is about moving poor people from St. Joseph to Bridgetown and back to St. Joseph. That is what the transport board is about. It's a social service. And it is a social service financed by you, the people of Barbados. The taxpayers paying their taxes to a caring government. Is this a caring government? Can it be a caring government when they threaten to close the transport board and the pensioner from Glen Burnie and St. John cannot get a bus and pay $3.50 and get to town and back home at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning? Is this a caring government? And so that is what I mean when I speak about the project in social democracy. A compassionate government and an intelligent government that understands that taxation must be collected, and much of that taxation must go to the provision of these social services. Education. I repeat, that letter that was sent to the primary school children, and I'm saying the primary school children, not the parents. It is the sword of Damocles hanging over the head of all little children in this country when the government is saying to them, either you behave yourself or else. Or else what? Or else the government is going to make the little children of this country through their parents pay for education. That is a failure of the project in social democracy. This Barbados Labour Party government is destroying the project in social democracy that has lived in this country since 1961, when education was made free, when education was removed from the realm of privilege and became a right for all Barbadians. I was born in a colony too, and you were born in a colony. Where are we tonight? Back in the colony. And we in Barbados understand this, and we in Barbados understand the importance of voting come February the 11th. Because colonial life in this country under the Barbados Labour Party must come to an end. It is as serious as that. We cannot afford not to vote. We must vote. Our life and the lives of our children depend on the exercise of that right. This is no ordinary journey to a polling booth. This is a journey to recapture and retrieve the life of this country. This is a journey to protect our little children. This is not so much about us who are past 50. This is about doing for our children what our parents did for us. That is what it is about. So defy any man or any woman and teach them. Teach them the reality of what is happening in their country. That every social service that past governments have built for the poor and the middle class in this country are being dismantled. We had a man up there saying that he's the CEO of the hospital. He is the CEO of the hospital. And while we are seeing the videos of men and women lying down on the floor, the CEO, the man who works there, says that it is a gurney lying low. We don't work in there. And we knew because our brothers and sisters and children, there's a pregnant woman who died in that hospital in the A&E a few weeks ago. Do you know this? Do you have a heart tonight? Do you have feeling for that pregnant woman who died in the A&E of the hospital while a CEO says that he is not aware that there are people lying on the floor? Was she lying on the floor? If the Barbados Labour Party returns to government, all of us will be lying on the floor. We'll be lying on the political floors. We'll be lying on the economic floor. And I say to you tonight, this Democratic Labour Party is not about any strong opposition. This Democratic Labour Party is about restoring strong government. We were born in a colony, and colonial days must and will end. When the sun rises on the 12th of February, let the sun rise on a country which we will once again describe as a free country. Let the sun rise on a country that we will once again say it is a democratic country. But as I said in my budget reply, show me a democracy and I'll show you a tyranny in the making. This is tyrannical government. This government is being run by a tyrant, or in order to use the word despot, it means the same thing. I can talk my talk, and I can talk your talk too, because this is not me alone. I am not alone. I am not alone. They closed down the parliament, but I've come to the people. I was alone in there, and they dissolved it. Tonight, not alone. I'm among the dear loving people. I'm among the people of Barbados who want freedom. I'm among the people of Barbados who are seeking freedom and justice in every aspect, my friend says. I want to remind you of this. Look, I don't even think that this platform, that I should give them the dignity of calling their names up here, and I'm not going to. But one of them said at the estimates a few years ago, in seeking to justify the importation, and I'm using the word importation, of foreign people to head our institutions, that they're looking for the best brains and the best minds. And we have a University of the West Indies and a Barbados Community College. That is why we say tonight, Barbados first. Barbados first. This government told you that they cannot find any of your children to run the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. This government told you that. And when I tell you that we are returning to colonial status under the Barbados Labour Party, I provide the evidence tonight, and I find them guilty. I find them guilty of betraying the rights, the interests, and the entitlements of our young people who are capable of running that Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And they're telling us that they have the best brains and the best minds. And that hospital is falling apart. falling apart under the colonizer. And I make no apology tonight for calling them colonizers. What happened to the community college? It closed. UE closed. A management faculty up there at UE. We have faculties in Trinidad and Jamaica, Bahamas. There's one in Antigua. And we could not find a Caribbean person to run that hospital, and we allowing somebody from all the way from to say that he don't know that people lie on the floor. And we taking that. So that when I tell you that this Barbados Labour Party is about colonizing your country, and that this Barbados Labour Party is about colonizing your hospital, I don't say that lightly. The evidence is there. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. We find them guilty. In 2022, they went up to the opening of Parliament and told you that they're delivering 10,000 houses to the poor people of Barbados. Affordable housing. I don't have to tell you about hope. We've talked about hope for a long time. We have talked about the disappearance of $60 million for a long time. And not a fella get charged. The St. John people, you know these people have a gall. You all know the houses at Pool. Well, look, let me correct myself. They're not houses. The slabs of concrete at Pool. As part of their election campaign, they went and push off the grass from around the houses, hoping to impress the intelligent people of St. John that it would not look like what it is. It is an abandoned project. It is the legacy of corruption. And pushing away the grass does not make it look any less corrupt than what it is. It is corruption. It is the disappearance of $60 million of the taxpayers' money, and there is more. And not a poor fella can find a house tonight, $60 million later. And don't let it become any nursery rhyme. $60 million of your taxes disappeared. And plastic bag said, not a fella in get a day. Well, February the 11th is going to be the day of the Democratic Labour Party. It has to be the day of the Democratic Labour Party. The evidence is mounting against this government. The evidence is mounting against this government. How do you find this government? On the charge of corruption, how do you find this government? On the charge of squandermania, how do you find this government? On the charge of failing to control crime in this country, what is your verdict? The judges used to say, take them down. Take them down. Take them down. February the 11th, we're going to take them down. And the memory and the legacy of Errol Walton Barrow will once again rise in this country. So I told you about the mixed economy and the provision of the social services, and I told you about housing and health and education. The bus service, every corner I turn in St. John, and I know it is the experience of all of our wonderful candidates across the rural areas of Barbados, that the bus service is poor and that it gets worse from day to day. But they took up a fleet of buses and took them down to St. Lucie to watch the abuse of two of our precious children. They have hastened this election because they are in a hurry to destroy poor people in this country. You were born in a colony. Are we going to keep this place a colony? Are we going to come out and vote on February the 11th? All the social services are disappearing in this country, and today during my canvass, all the women were saying to me that the major problem they face in life is a cost of living. When people in this country, too many people in this country are trying to make a choice between a utility bill and a food bill. It has gotten that bad in this country. Some people paying the electricity bill every other month and are perpetually in arrears because they have children in the house and the children cannot live and survive and thrive unless there is food on the table. You have to buy food. And that is why this Democratic Labour Party has pledged to the people of this country, and they will not stop us from making the pledge to the people of this country, that VAT has to be reduced. We understand the government's power to tax. But taxation must be what the economists call progressive. Taxation must not hurt the poor and the middle. And anytime it is hurting the poor and the middle, something must be done. We've paid our taxes for a long time. We've paid our dues for a long time, and we intend to continue to pay our taxes and dues. But when you have a caring and compassionate and intelligent government, a good government, a competent government, a government knows how to structure its tax system without bringing disadvantage to any of the people in the country. And we will demonstrate to you how this government has been treating that fiscal power, that power to tax. And I will give you an example in finding this government guilty and leading the evidence against this government that they don't care about the poor and the middle class in this country, that we are overtaxed and the burden of taxation is killing the poor in this country. And I will repeat that too many children are going to school unfed, if they go to school at all. And so it is our proposal, serious proposal, that VAT must be reduced from 17.5%. It has become too much of a burden for the poor and the middle class in this country. The two-car families that only have one car now because the company picked up one. Y'all didn't know this was happening in Barbados. The one-car family, the family of a single mother driving to her two children to school who can no longer afford to pay for the car, and the debt collector drives it away and her world crumbles. If you have tears, as Shakespeare said, prepare to shed them now. A lot of people in this country are suffering in silence. And they're suffering in the dignity that that man gave to this country. And come February the 11th, we will relieve ourselves of the pressure and the indignity of suffering and the burden and the pain and the anguish. The anguish that is associated with our inability to pay our bills, to buy food. And if we can't buy food, we cannot pay the utility bill. And if we pay the utility bill, we get hungrier. But we in this country are hungry for justice. And we're going to get justice on February the 11th. On February the 11th. And let me demonstrate to you how this government is treating its power to tax. Just one more example. This government gave concessions to people who own villas. Any villa owners in this crowd, please? I mean you no offense. Any villa owners in this crowd, please? Anybody owns a 9-story building that is villas? Anybody of that description is present, please? Well, if you're present, I apologize to you for identifying you. But this government and that parliament behind my back went out there a few months ago and gave generous concessions to those who own villas. I'm not going to call their names. Not here to do that. Not here to embarrass anyone. But they gave concessions to villa owners. I see them going up all over the place, 8 and 9 stories. And the same government, maybe in a matter of weeks, came back and put heavy taxation on the poor and middle class people in this country who own an Airbnb. And all an Airbnb is a part of the house that has been converted into an apartment for rental to tourists so that the old retired people can add to their pensions and get an income. Maybe it is pound sterling or the US dollar. And that is all they're doing. All they're doing is trying. All they're doing is trying to survive. And this government that lacks in compassion gives generous concessions to the rich who own villas. And within the same month, they impose heavy punishment and heavy taxation on the little old man or the little old woman whose children have left and gone overseas, and they're in the house in a corner by themselves, and they say, this extra space must now make money for me, and this government has punished them for trying to make a living. Thank you, sister. And that is the kind of government you're going to keep. And that is the kind of government that you have some psychopaths walking around here saying, man, we not voting. For a government that is so callous and deliberate in its policy of suppressing poor people in this country, they're callous and deliberate, I say. It is not an accident. Everything that this government is doing is aimed at destroying the dignity and the prosperity that came to our lives after we were educated in 1961, and when we ceased to be a colony in 1966, and when this Democratic Labour Party established NIS. All of that. We gave 27 million US dollars to a firm called White Oak, and what did White Oak do? Took 1.3 billion in something called a debt restructuring program. In other words, the government owed NIS $1.3 billion, and they came down here and advised this ignorant government to remove the government's indebtedness to the NIS. And do you find it an accident that the same government has increased the retirement age from 65 to 67? All of it is a consequence of that so-called debt restructuring program, and they paid the two men 27 million US dollars. They can't sue me because the Financial Times of London wrote an article in the Financial Times, a respected financial magazine in England, and criticize the payment of 27 million US dollars, your dollars, to a firm to help to impoverish your NIS. $1.3 billion. And so, postponing the payment of pensions. And you reach 65 after 45 years of labor. After 45 years of labor, you join the public service at the age of 20. You work from 20 to 65. 45 years. All who labor and are heavy in burden, come, let this Democratic Labour Party save you. Save you. because we find that we're going to have to reverse a lot of what this illegitimate and corrupt government has done. And we have economists in this country who could have done that debt restructuring program. Arthur said he could have done it for free. Wood said he could have done it for free. They allowed Klein Maskell any chance? Again. Two people who we don't know came into this country and did what Clyde could do. With his eye shot, Derek said. And did what Wood could do. And did what Carlos Fort could do. And did what Darcy Boyce could do. But the government says they're looking for the best minds and the best brains. And I tell you that colonialism has returned to this country. The evidence is there. Do we not see it? And that is why we will have to reverse it. And that is why this government's plan to close the transport board, this Democratic Labour Party, will have to reverse that plan. And I want you all to know who they want to send the buses to, but I'm not going to talk about that yet. We're talking about that in the future. But while we are talking about government's wicked policy, I will come briefly to Bay Street. There's a gentleman up there called Alan Kinch, who owns Savvy on the Bay. And it is time that we in Barbados know that for the last few years, the government has been pressuring Mr. Alan Kinch to deprive him of that land. That gentleman has enfranchised a number of small business people up there on the beach who are making a living. And this government has spent the last 2 years going after Mr. Alan Kinch. But not only are they going after Mr. Alan Kinch, Mr. Alan Kinch is a man who I believe has a certain measure of wealth. But the victims of their pursuit of that gentleman will be the small business people on those beaches. And we have a Minister of Housing who says to you a few weeks ago that all they want is the car park. You know, this is a serious platform. You're not going to be hearing a lot of jokes up here because these are serious times. These are hard times. These are dark times. We don't have a lot of time for laughter these days. The pain of existence in Barbados is too great under this Barbados Labour Party. But I want to tell you something else. And I challenge the government on this. That the government was asking Mr. Kinch to take the land on the other side of the road, where they gave it to the African Bank. They were asking him to take the land on the other side of the road, and if they were asking him to take the land on the other side of the road where they wanted to put the African Bank. Everybody wants beachfront. You're a dog in this country if you can't get beachfront. And the bank wanted beachfront too? I don't know. But the government still wants it. They took up your precious land and gave it to the bank. And one would have thought that the issue would have come to rest. And it has not come to rest. Because they're still pursuing the gentleman. They are still in pursuit of a Barbadian. We say tonight Barbados first. Our shirts will say Barbados first. Our slogans will say Barbados first. And in saying Barbados first, we will say Barbados Labour Party last. Come February the 11th. This government does not care about you. This government does not care about the poor in Barbados. This government does not care about the working class in Barbados. And this government cares less for the middle class in Barbados. And they're making all of us victims of their policy. I come to crime, and I thank Verla de Pisa for mentioning crime here tonight, This is a government that has empowered and enabled criminals in Barbados. And that is not defamatory, my friends. Not defamatory. The evidence is there. The evidence is there, and they have not denied. They have not denied that men who self-confess to participation in criminal activity were given your tax dollars as a compensation, they thought, for refraining from criminal activity. And that is not intelligent government. The hour is midnight. The hour is midnight, and in a few seconds we will be into tomorrow, and I don't want to keep you here until tomorrow, but there's another tomorrow coming. And that tomorrow, that other tomorrow, it is a tomorrow that will come, and it will come soon. And so I must wrap up tonight. I must wrap up the evidence against this government, and I will ask you once again, this jury of public opinion, on the charge that this is corrupt government, what is your verdict? On the charge that this is incompetent government, what is your verdict? On the charge that this is lazy government, what is your verdict? Take them down. Take them down. I thank you. You've been a wonderful audience. Good night, and God bless you.